I was one of the first 5 people in the world mining Bitcoin in early 2009. It was a complete experiment back then. Nobody knew what Bitcoin was going to become. From $700,000, I'd check it the next day, it'd be 1.2. I'd check it the next day, it'd be 3.8. I'd check it the next day, 6.4. And then just instantly clicking in the back of your head, oh shit, I've got 8,000 coins. And they were on that hard drive that accidentally got taken to the landfill a few months ago. It's currently worth $9.9 million.
Shit. Is it difficult to accept it?
Yeah.
See, my friend James Howells, you probably have heard of him, is the guy who lost 8,000 Bitcoin back in 2013 when the hard drive he kept it on got thrown out to a landfill. In the past decade, he tried everything to recover the hard drive, but was only met with barriers and ignorance. And eventually, unfortunately this year, despite all his efforts, he was forced to stop trying. Now, I had to sit down with him for an interview where he not only shared some of the untold stories from the past 12 years, but he also talks about the big question: what's next? Enjoy the show. Thank you so much for being here, bro. It's an honor.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So there are a lot of rumors that you're abandoning the project, and I wanted to clear this out. We met in Vegas, we had some fun times, and you shared all these great ideas with me and the plan. And of course, a lot has changed and a lot hasn't changed, and the media is getting it wrong. And I thought the best way to do this is to actually just get you on and go through what is happening. But before we deep dive into the present, for anyone who doesn't know you, I'd like you to just give a very short brief on what happened 2009. It's a long time. You said before we started the interview, you said that we shouldn't go and talk about the past that much. It's tough also to relive, but also a lot of things have been said. But I said a lot of people might not know the story. So who are you? What happened?
So, I mean, I don't want to bore people with the details. So I'll just give a brief overview. I was one of the first 5 people in the world to download and run the Bitcoin software in early 2009. Began mining coins, or generating coins as it was known back then. There was nobody else to interact with on the entire network. There was no wallet services, no blockchain explorers, absolutely nothing. There was literally the wallet software and the white paper. So I began mining coins overnight using my gaming laptop when I wasn't using it. And I did that for over the course of about 10 weeks, and I amassed 8,000 coins. At which point I stopped mining Bitcoin. A former partner of mine complained about the noise of the fans that my laptop was generating, and it was keeping her up at night, so I was kind of coerced into stopping mining.
Sorry for stopping the interview, but I have something crucial to share with you. If you or anyone you know want to learn about crypto, we got the right thing for you completely for free. In the past 12 months, we have designed a course called Intro to Crypto that takes people on all ages, from very beginners who don't know anything about crypto to expert investors. If this is something interesting for you, there is a link in the description and also in the pinned comments. Go and sign up today. I'll see you in the course. Let's get back to the interview. One thing that we didn't really find info on, like, how did you even get into this thing? Like, because it's, as you say, 2009, no one is doing
Bitcoin, it. Yeah. I found out about Bitcoin through a financial forum. In late 2008, I was looking at, I wanted to know myself what was happening in the financial world at the time, because the financial crash was going on around that time. So I was looking on financial forums for information about what was really happening in the world, because I didn't believe what the mainstream media was telling us. And just so happens that I came across Bitcoin on the SourceForge download website. With a past history of involvement in Napster and other file sharing apps, Bitcoin instantly appealed to me as peer-to-peer file sharing for money. So that was why I became interested in the first place. I knew that the Napster network couldn't be shut down, therefore the Bitcoin network couldn't be shut down. So yeah, that definitely appealed to me on that side. So that's why I began mining Bitcoin. It was a complete experiment back then. Nobody knew what Bitcoin was going to become. There was nobody involved in Bitcoin. There was only, 5 anonymous people. So I had nobody to transact with. There was nobody to test with. There was nobody to send coins to. There was nobody. I tried to get a few of my friends involved. They weren't interested. So it was kind of like a lonely experience back then.
It's very difficult to imagine this, actually. Now, looking at what's happening also must be pretty crazy for you. But in 2010, so you take the computer apart, the computer dies in 2010, you take it apart, you sell the parts, and you keep the drive, which contains the file, right? So it's kind of like, we should imagine it as a seed phrase, right? But it's not a known seed phrase as we know it today.
It's actually a wallet.dat file. The early Bitcoin software, the only way that you could store coins was in a wallet.dat file. And that DAT file contains your private keys. Now, all of my coins have been mined into a single address, which is verifiable on the blockchain, which means a single private key has access to 8,000 coins. So we're not looking for multiple private keys. We're looking for a single 51-digit combination of characters, which is a very, very small amount of data in terms of bytes when we come to the storage and recoverability of that from a hard drive that has been in extreme circumstances. It is very possible to recover a tiny fraction of data. We'll get onto that later.
So 2013 comes, right? So you have the flash drive and you throw it out. You think that you backed it up, you have the file somewhere else?
Well, summer of 2013, I decided to do a clear out in my office. I was an IT engineer, worked from home, so a lot of faulty equipment was accumulated in my office. One afternoon or one evening, I decided to do a clear out, get rid of all the old equipment, etc. And I was looking through one of the drawers in my office, and inside the drawer there were two hard drives, very similar looking, silver with a white label, as all hard drives, laptop hard drives are very similar. In a case of mistaken identity, I picked up the wrong hard drive. The hard drive that I was supposed to pick up was a 20 gigabyte blank hard drive, had never been inside one of my machines, had no data on it whatsoever. And because it was only a 20 gigabyte hard drive, we had already moved on to terabyte hard drives by then. It was pointless keeping a 20 gigabyte hard drive. So that was supposed to go in the bin. Unfortunately, I picked up the wrong hard drive, and the hard drive with all my backups, with all my files, pictures, music, etc., including the Bitcoin wallet folder containing the wallet.dat file, was put into a black bag. That black bag was then placed inside my home at the front of my house. And I then went to sleep. And I intended to take the bag to the landfill myself the next morning. Unfortunately, I woke up the next morning and that bag had already disappeared to the landfill. And I think it's already public knowledge about how that happened. There's no need to dive into those details, but let's just say it left my house without my permission or consent that morning. And I've been trying to get it back ever since.
So basically it gets to the landfill. What I wanted to understand as well, that we haven't chatted in Vegas about, is that at the time, 2013, that was already worth like almost $1 million at the peak.
I mean, when this happened, it was summer of 2013, and Bitcoin
like
was
what, $50 Bitcoin?
It was in the middle of its first bull run from $100 odd all the way up to $1,100. So if you can imagine me then identifying the wallet address on a blockchain explorer, and then watching the value or the balance go from $700,000-800,000. I'd check it the next day, it'd be 1.2. I'd check it the next day, it'd be 3.8. I'd check it the next day, 6.4. And we got all the way up to $9.9 million. And at that point is when I first went to Newport City Council, went to the landfill site, spoke to the operator of the landfill site, and basically told him there's $10 million in a hard drive. And that was a fun experience.
So before I get into that, I just wanted to understand, did you know in 2013, did you know that the hard drive that you had in your drawer had $800,000 worth of Bitcoin on it?
No.
So it was. So you kind of forgot about it.
At the moment the hard drive was thrown away, no. So
when did you? How and when did you realize?
So between the point of me stopping mining and when the hard drive was thrown away, I wasn't involved in Bitcoin in any way, shape, or form. I
So when did you
kind of
realize?
I was focused on raising a family at that time. So this actually happened in August 2013. I've always said summer 2013. It was actually early August. Um, I realized what had actually happened approximately a month or two later. There was a BBC News article about a guy from Oslo who had purchased $20 of Bitcoin. He had enjoyed the initial bull run all the way up to $1,100, and he'd cashed out and he'd purchased a high-end apartment in Oslo city centre. So I'd seen that on BBC News. And if you can imagine somebody reading an article online about Bitcoin and then just instantly clicking in the back of your head, oh shit, I've got 8,000 coins, and they were on that hard drive.
Fudge.
Still, instinctively, I went straight to the drawer where it was supposed to be and found the 20 gigabyte hard blank drive.
The wrong one.
Yeah. So there, between the moment that it got thrown away and the actual moment of realization, there was probably 5 to 6 week period of just, you know,
Insane. So the hard drive is on the landfill in Newport, right? And then when you realize, do you just sit in your car and go to the landfill and tell
so
them, hey, there is
when I
like,
first realized, say October time, October, early November, I was probably a little bit deer in headlights type of thing. Didn't know what to do. And I didn't actually mention it to anyone. I didn't mention it to my ex-partner. I didn't mention it to my family. I kind of just was sitting there watching the value go up and up every day. Kind of like, well, what the hell am I going to do now? And then finally, towards the end of November, I pulled my partner and I said, do you remember that Bitcoin software that I was running a few years ago? Yes. Well, the 8,000 coins that I mined were on the hard drive that accidentally got taken to the landfill a few months ago. It's currently worth $9.9 million.
shit.
And her first reaction was, you're having a laugh, you're joking, you know? And I said, seriously, come upstairs and I'll show you the blockchain and the value, and I'll prove it to you. And I did. And the first thing she said, well, you better get down the landfill then, hadn't you? So that was the first moment that I then got in the car, went to the landfill site and had a conversation with the director
Did you
of
book a time?
operations
Did
at
you
the
book a
land.
time, or you just literally sat in your car and just went there?
No, literally, I literally just got in the car, went there, went to the operational office and said, is there any chance I could speak to whoever's in charge, please?
And
And
then,
then
so what happens? So you pull up. I'm just trying to put together, and I think people also have been wondering about this. I mean, you just pull up in your car, you stop by, you park the car, you walk in and say like, hey, I actually thought out something that got here and it has $10 million worth of Bitcoin on it. Is that?
that's exactly how it happened.
Oh my God,
And,
what did
and
they
you can
say?
imagine the reaction from the guy who in question is his name is Gwyn Jones. And he was the director of operations at Newport landfill for 18 years. He's effectively the guy who constructed and built that landfill. He has since retired from Newport City Council, and I recruited him to my recovery team for the
Oh,
knowledge he's got.
nice.
So he is now the person who buried my drive is technically now on my recovery team.
Incredible.
So we've got all his knowledge and unique insight into that specific landfill site. But
And then
yeah.
what happened? And then we're gonna jump into like what is happening today. But what happened? They said, well, you have to file a report. You have to, or what was the next
Yeah, I
step?
mean, to be honest with you, Gwyn was very helpful when I actually went and spoke to him. You can imagine what his reaction in his head, what he was thinking. $10 million on a hard drive? Is this a wind up? You know?
Yeah.
But he actually did take me seriously because I think he seen the look on my face at the time. This wasn't a joke. So he actually took me seriously. He took me up to the landfill itself in his truck and showed me the open pit of where they were burying material, the processes in place at the time. And I pretty much said to him, okay, so if I put a black bag into that bin right now, what is the step-by-step process to get to the burial location? Because I wanted to know where my drive had been. And he basically explained it to me step by step. There was no crushing, no extradition, no recovering recyclable material. Anything that was put into those general waste bins in 2013 was buried on site.
Do they
And
simply
the
take it and
reason we
bury it?
need, and the reason we know that for sure is because when one of those general waste bins become full, the first thing they do is it goes through the weigh-in bridge. Keyword in, weigh in, not weigh out. So any material that is weighed in to a landfill site in the UK is not allowed to leave because they have strict regulations on the amount of material and the weight of material that can be buried in certain locations. So using their own logistics against them, the hard drive cannot be in any other location. As soon as it goes through the weigh-in bridge, it doesn't leave sight. So
Make me
we know it's
understand.
there.
I imagine I've never in my life been on a landfill. I think 99% of the people can say that. What happens to it? It comes. You say there is no crushing, no selective.
Yeah,
What
obviously
has actually
things have
happened?
changed. Things have changed massively now since 2013 in terms of recycling and things like that.
But
But
back then,
back then it was a case of you would drive, if you wanted to take a bag of rubbish to the local land site, you would put it in your car, you would drive to the landfill site. They've got a parking area where you park up, you exit your car, you pick up the bag and you manually drop it into the skip bin. It's like a large container steel bin. Now, when those, and they've got different colored bins for, plastic and cardboard, etc. But the general waste bins, you can put anything in there, anything within reason back then. So anything that, and I asked Gwyn, so what happens to that general waste bin when it becomes full? What is your procedure, your process? And he said, we take it through the weigh-in bridge. Then it goes into the barn area where there's additional soil mixed in with the waste material. Then we drag it off to the open pit where we're burying. We record the serial number of the bin and the grid reference location. And then they empty the bin upside down, push the material flat, and then put more soil on top to contain the smells.
that's it.
Then they put more material on top and more soil and more material, and it's just basically layers of a cake. Okay.
Wow. So there is a
Then,
chance.
so then they drive over with what's known as a landfill compactor to not crush, compact the material down. Now, if a landfill compactor was directly driving over a hard drive, it could probably do some damage, yes. But there's a lot of other material that's being compacted at the same time. A hard drive is only similar in size to an iPhone. There's a very good chance that it was protected by some other piece of wood or material or metal while it was being compacted. It wasn't being crushed or anything that could damage the disk inside or the platter inside the hard drive.
So, okay, so that makes sense because what I was thinking, like, okay, if they just go through this whole rotation and they crush it, but then it's a completely different story. So there is a chance.
No.
Yeah, so
So
there is a chance.
there is a very good chance that the physical hard drive itself is in reasonable condition. Now, we realize that the outside of the hard drive is going to be, rusted and not in great condition. It's not as if we're going to find this hard drive, plug it in, and away we go. Obviously, we're going to have to perform high level data recovery operations on this. We're going to have to strip apart the drive. We're going to have to extract the disk. We're going to have to clean it up professionally, rebuild the hard drive with new components. Then we're going to read the data, byte by byte. So to
Wouldn't
speak.
water and stuff damage the hard drive?
Nope. There may, obviously we couldn't just plug the hard drive in
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
will work,
But it's
but
recoverable,
it
you
doesn't
say.
necessarily delete the data.
Okay, so then you
Data,
go.
data is stored on a hard drive magnetically.
Mhm.
How many times have you known a magnet to lose power?
Yeah. Okay.
Just
Well, so now we know. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. It's exciting.
now
And
let's
then
go on to the data recovery side of it. Why am I so confident that we can recover the
let's talk
private
about
key?
it. I wanted to say one more thing that is very relevant to this whole story, and that is that you went to Newport and you tried every single way. So you actually had a post here, and then you said that you tried offering them, you tried everything that you could for them to agree to it, but they just rejected and not replied, and you even sued them. That was dropped out from court this January, and so you came up with a new plan, which was what?
Well, I mean, I spent 10 years trying to engage with Newport City Council and offer them as many cherries on top of the cake as humanly possible. I wanted to do this in cooperation with them. We were going to do it to the highest standards. Um, and I recruited a recovery team capable of doing that. If the government themselves wanted to excavate a landfill, these are the same people they would go to. So it's
You posted
unfortunate
this
that
and you said for 12 years I tried everything to engage with Newport City Council, public proposals, percentages, mediation, legal action, formal 25 million offer,
yeah,
and they ignored it all.
yeah, that's correct. We've tried everything humanly possible. I
Why
wanted
are
to
they
engage
saying no?
dinosaur
What's your
mindset,
guess?
I guess. Um, no idea. There's no logical reason why they would say no to this. We've covered off every single, risk possible. Um, at the end of the day, I've offered them a high percentage of 25% if they would engage and work with me. Then I built a recovery team and tried to show them that we had the professional expertise in place to do this. They didn't want to know. They didn't even want to have a conversation. Then I tried to take them to court and force the issue, through the legal route to try and gain access to my legally owned property. In my view, that was a complete and utter stitch up. Um, I went to the High Court. We put in a 300-page document, which wasn't even considered. The case was, it took 3 hours in a hearing, which I didn't even get to speak at. Didn't get to say a single word, and then it was thrown out by email.
It's
I didn't even
horrible.
get the chance to explain my situation or put my case forward to a legitimate court. And then the appeal process was just as bad, completely swept under the carpet. They don't want to hear the facts because, well, that's the British justice system for you, I guess.
Unfortunately.
So,
But let's talk about the
so from my
solution, because
so
I
from
think
my
that's
perspective,
super.
I've kind of tried everything possible. I've tried to engage with them. I've tried to offer a high percentage reward to them. I've tried to go down the legal route. My property, my digital property is currently located on their land, and they refuse to allow me access to it whatsoever, in any way whatsoever.
And then
So
you
the
came up
only
with a
sort
new
of route
plan.
left, so the only route left to me, I still own those coins legally. I created them. They're my digital property. They don't belong to Newport City Council as per the court hearing at the start of this year. So now, if you won't allow me to get access to them, then I have no choice but to pivot and to tokenize that wallet and that address and those tokens and launch a new cryptocurrency that will represent what is in the wallet. If you
So the
don't
last
allow me to access,
information.
if you don't now allow me to access what is legally mine, then I will root around you.
So the last information was, we talked in Vegas as well, right? This was the last information. You're going to tokenize. You're going to do 21%, which is 1,675 tokens. You're going to tokenize that and then give out a portion of it. People raise money through that and do buy the landfill, right? That was the
Yeah, I
idea.
mean the concept was simple. We launch a token, sell a portion of the coins to the community. We excavate the landfill, we buy it ourselves, we record it as part of a documentary series for the world to follow along in real time. And if we're successful, the token holders would be rewarded with Bitcoin from the wallet address. It was a simple concept, really. Unfortunately, I made an offer to Newport City Council to help make that happen, and they have, refused to engage with a 25 million pounds offer. That offer was a combination of cash up front and long-term cost savings.
It's just beyond me.
I've made an offer to them through the 3 letters to their legal team, to the leader of Newport City Council, and the Member of Parliament for Newport, and not one of them has responded. So
that's
what
absolutely mind-blowing. But it's crazy.
Do you want me to do? Do you want me to raise an army and march on the king himself? What else is there? What other option is there? So
I mean, there is the option of buying the landfill, but if no one gets back, if no one talks, then that option.
I've put an offer to Newport City Council to buy the landfill. I've tried to buy the landfill, and they've said no. They've said nothing. They've refused to engage with me. So I've tried to engage with them. I've tried the legal route. I've tried to buy the landfill from them. What else do you want me to try?
So then this started circulating that you are stopping. Over a decade, James Howells finally given up on search for the hard drive and accidentally threw away in 2013. In 2030, it could be valued at 8 billion. But this is not really true. So you came back and you made a statement.
I have an issue with the wording of giving up, because I would say I haven't given up. I've been completely and utterly blocked. So what is the point to continue if they
what's next?
Change their mind? So next is that I take the value from that wallet, which I legally own. I created it, and I transfer that to a new crypto coin called Ceiniog coin. Ceiniog is an ancient Welsh currency which didn't survive the centuries, and I would like to revive it as a crypto token.
It's equivalent to a penny, right? Ceiniog. I didn't hear about it before.
Ceiniog is the Welsh word for penny, which is the lowest denomination of money. So each of my Ceiniog coins, which there will be a total supply of 800 billion, will mirror 1-to-1 the number of Satoshis in my wallet address. 8,000 Bitcoins equals 800 billion Satoshis, individual units of account. So my Bitcoin subcurrency, if you will mirror what is in the wallet address. And everybody can publicly verify the vault, if you will, at all times, because my wallet address is publicly known and anybody can check it themselves at any time.
So is this a community token? Is this a community token for the history of what happened and you stopped the search, or there is other avenues that you're thinking about?
What I'm looking to do is create a utility token. I would like to bring a lot of the DeFi functionality that has been enabled by Ethereum, Solana, and many other blockchains back to the Bitcoin blockchain. So
Bitcoin Fi.
So it's going to be a Bitcoin focused DeFi layer 2, if you will.
So rounding up the story on what happened, does that mean that you stopped the search?
I've been denied access to even start the search.
Does that mean that you stop trying?
What else can I do? What else do you want me to try? That's the question. I will try whatever you want to try. But at the end of the day, if the gatekeepers will not open the gate, there is nothing to try.
Is it difficult to accept it?
Yes, obviously. I would happily dig tomorrow. But they're not going to change their minds. I believe that once the value of this hard drive reached $1 billion, they would come to their senses and say, okay, let's have a conversation and see if we can make this happen.
Do you
But
think they are looking for it themselves?
Even after I put a multi-million-dollar offer to them to buy the landfill, they still won't respond to me. So what else do you want me to do? Is my question. And I ask everybody in the crypto community, what else would you do? I have tried everything possible.
It's a tough one.
So, yeah.
I hope that someone watches this from Newport.
So the only thing that I would now like to launch my own token, my own cryptocurrency token that it's not just a meme coin that I want to launch. I want to launch a protocol that I will work on for the next 20 years, that I will promote, that I will be involved with, that will be beneficial to the Bitcoin community as a whole.
You're saying that it's going to be integrated with stacks, runes, ordinals,
Yes,
launching late 2025. Tell us more about it. What is in the pipeline?
So this is coming towards the end of the year. I plan to create a DeFi focused token and bring a lot of use case back to Bitcoin. A lot of Bitcoin holders just store their value in a wallet and do nothing with it. Well, I've been doing that for 12 years. It's no fun. Bitcoin was meant to be used. It's a peer-to-peer electronic cash network, not a store of value network. So let's bring the utility back to Bitcoin.
Well said, James. Yeah, it's been a very interesting talk. I truly appreciate you coming on. Do you have any final words to the audience, to Newport City Council, to anybody watching?
I'm no longer trying to communicate with them. I did that for 12 years. If they want to communicate with me, they can get in touch with me.
Links in the description. We're gonna include all your links. James, I appreciate you always. Thank you so much for coming on, taking the time, sharing your story and sharing where you're headed. And I'm sure that we're gonna meet multiple times in this year and next year. And I'm excited to report on your story. And I wish you the best, and the best.
No problem. Thank you, my friend. Have a good day.
Take care. And guys, that was it. If you have enjoyed this show, please let me know in the comment section if you want me to bring you more of these. I read and reply to all the comments. Smash the like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and come back for another one. Here's a pretty cool interview that you can check out. And I believe I'll see you in the next one. Take care.